Now, let's talk about governance and why it's so important for OT security. So, establishing an OT governance structure means putting in place the roles, responsibilities, and oversight needed to manage security in a consistent way across the enterprise. Now, IT and OT worlds are very different culturally. On the IT side, governance is nothing new. IT organizations have operated for years with a centralized approach. That means clear standardization, well defined accountability, and established roles and teams like CISOs, SOC teams, risk managers, and compliance officers. Everyone knows their responsibility, and processes are aligned globally because that's very easy to implement in an IT organization because IT is dealing with virtual product and virtual processes. However, in the OT world, when you're dealing with physical processes and physical world, the culture is different for right reasons. Plants and factories have always run in a decentralized way. Each plant manages its own operations, budgets, and priorities. Engineering teams, automation specialists, and production managers are focused on keeping production safe and efficient, and not on aligning with corporate IT. And this decentralized approach works very well and is much needed for production. But when it comes to cybersecurity, it creates complications because cybersecurity threats don't stop at one plant's boundary. If one site is wide open, it puts the whole organization at risk. That's why OT security cannot be managed in a purely decentralized way. It needs centralized governance. Without it, each plant might take its own path and direction. One plant may adopt strict controls and invest in new OT security projects, while another site may do almost nothing. And that inconsistency creates major gaps and risks. So, governance brings the much needed clarity and standardization that OT security needs. It ensures all plants follow the same baseline requirements, align with enterprise strategy, and protect against threats in a coordinated way. So, in short, governance makes OT security manageable on a global scale. And some of the key elements of a good governance model are that it has clear roles and responsibilities, answering questions like who owns OT security policies, who approves firewall changes in a plant network. Example, a governance model may define that corporate security creates the policy. The OT team enforces it at the plant, and IT ensures it integrates with enterprise controls. Then another element is decision making escalation path. A local plant engineer should not decide alone whether to allow vendor remote access. The governance model must provide a chain that is plant reaches out to OT security collaborates with IT security, and there is a executive oversight. Then alignment of IT and OT is very important, and governance should ensure that IT policies like incident response or patch management are adapted to OT realities, where downtime can cost millions. Example, IT may demand immediate patching, but OT governance ensures there is a controlled maintenance window. Then, an element of oversight and accountability. Regular reporting to management on OT risks, incidents, and compliance. Example, a monthly governance board meeting that brings IT, OT, and business leaders together to review key OT security metrics. So, when we establish OT security governance, we are essentially building a structure that represents all the technical and organizational capabilities an enterprise needs to secure its OT environment. The governance chart that I'm showing here, this is a visual aid for that recommendation. Let's walk through this model. So, at the top, we have the Cybersecurity Management Committee. This is the steering body typically made up of senior leadership like the CISO, COO, internal audit heads, and OT representatives from each plant must also be part of this cybersecurity management committee. Their role is to provide oversight, align OT security with business objectives, and make sure resources are allocated where they are most needed. Then, working alongside them is the OT cybersecurity subject matter expert. This is a key role, someone with deep knowledge of OT environments who bridges the gap between technical realities on the shop floor and the strategic direction of leadership. The SME coordinates across plants, advises on regulatory requirements, and ensures OT specific concerns are heard at the management level. Now, beneath this structure, responsibilities are distributed into four capability pillars. These pillars they represent the practical technical areas that keep OT security functioning. The first pillar is the strategy and governance. This is where policies and risk management frameworks are defined. Under this, policy development and management means writing clear OT specific policies. For example, creating a vendor remote access policy that mandates all third party connections go through a monitored OT jump host. Then there's a risk management and mitigation under this. Risk management and mitigation, where risks identified at plant level are formally tracked and addressed. For instance, if a legacy PLC can't be patched, mitigation may involve segmenting it in a protected zone and then keeping a record of it and then planning for replacement during the next maintenance cycle. After that, the second pillar is cyber defense. This focuses on actively reducing the attack surface and preparing defenses. Vulnerability and threat management under this does not mean just running scans, but it also means following ICS advisories like those issued by CISA and other bodies and applying mitigations in a controlled way. Alongside that, you have the cybersecurity architect role. This person designs the OT network to follow secure reference models. For example, implementing segmentation so that an IT ransomware outbreak cannot cascade directly into production control systems. Then you have the third pillar, that is authorization and access control, which ensures that only the right users with the right privileges access OT assets. Access recertification involves regular reviews of who has access, for example, removing expired contractor accounts from engineering workstations. Access control policy management ensures consistency across plants, such as enforcing multi factor authentication for all programming laptops used to update PLCs. And finally, remote access management ensures vendor sessions are properly brokered, monitored, and recorded rather than relying on ad hoc VPNs that bypass controls. Then the fourth pillar is network and security operations. This is the day to day monitoring and response backbone. The SOC or NOC, they collect the logs and telemetry, for instance, spotting unusual connections between IT and OT zones, incident response and investigation to ensure fast containment. For example, isolating OT networks if ransomware is detected in IT before it spreads further. And threat intelligence keeps up to date uh, by consuming OT specific feeds that track malware, targeting PLCs or engineering tools. So such kind of threat intel goes into the feed of SOC and using that intelligence to guide preventive measures. So together, the governance framework creates a balance, leadership oversight at the top, an OT SME as the bridge, and then structured technical capabilities across these four pillars. Each of this box represents not just a title, but a real world action or control that will help safeguard the industrial operations. So, like this, we have covered this OT security governance on this slide. And important thing to note here is that this governance structure is representing the different capabilities that are required by an organization to defend its industrial environment. It is not a direct mapping to the roles or a count of individuals that an organization needs in its team. So that's all on this slide then. On the next slide then, we will start with processes, because processes are what put the governance into effect, into action. So let's see what are some of the fundamental 4 or 5 processes that an organization needs in order to bring this kind of governance in effect. Because you can put roles and responsibilities, individuals, technical controls, you can develop all the technical controls, technical capabilities, you can install firewalls, but if you don't have processes created to govern them, then you will not be able to maintain that state of maturity. You will have changes and your overall security posture will change over the time. So to maintain that state, you need processes. Let's see